Hello children. Yesterday we were doing respiration. We have done aerobic respiration. This is respiration part 2. Today we will do anaerobic respiration and respiratory system in human being. So all of you know anaerobic means when there is no oxygen or lack of oxygen. Aerobic is in presence of oxygen, and in aerobic you have studied that complete oxidation of glucose molecule takes place. It converts into carbon dioxide and water, and in overall process 38 ATP molecules are generated. But in anaerobic, complete oxidation does not take place. So we will study two types of anaerobic. One in yeast cell. In yeast cell, do you know what is yeast? Yeast is single-celled organism. This is the nucleus. This is the cytoplasm. But it is not prokaryotic. It is eukaryotic. The cell is eukaryotic, but it is single-celled, and it is included under fungi, and it reproduced by vegetative reproduction or asexual reproduction, and the reproduction is so fast that these birds, they are not detached from the parent or the mother cell, and a chain of birds is formed. So this is yeast. In yeast, the oxidation is incomplete. What happened? One glucose molecule, which is 6 carbon atom in cytoplasm. We have read that glycolysis takes place in cytoplasm. So this is glycolysis. Glycolysis takes place and 2 molecules of pyruvate, they are formed. This pyruvate is 3C, 3 carbon atom compound. Normally in aerobic, this pyruvate goes to mitochondria for complete oxidation. But here, as there is no oxygen, in absence of oxygen, glucose converts to pyruvate, and this pyruvate, it converts in cytoplasm itself. It does not go to the mitochondria. In cytoplasm, alcohol, this is ethyl alcohol or ethanol is formed, and carbon dioxide is formed. This ethanol is 2 carbon atom compound C2, C2H5OH, and carbon dioxide is formed, plus very little energy or only 2 ATP molecules are formed. So this is only glycolysis, and in glycolysis this is also known as alcoholic fermentation, because alcohol is formed. As it is not completely oxidized, only 2 ATP are formed. If alcohol is completely oxidized, then CO2 and H2O will be formed and complete 38 molecules will be formed. So in anaerobic, one is in yeast where oxygen is altogether absent. The second we will study in muscle cell. In muscle cells of human being or in other organism also, what happened when there is lack of oxygen? Oxygen is less. Then what happened? This glucose in cytoplasm, it first converts to pyruvate, and this process is, as usual, is known as glycolysis. So by glycolysis, 2 pyruvate are formed, but instead of converting into carbon dioxide and water, these pyruvate, they convert to lactic acid and energy. Small energy is formed and lactic acid is formed, which is again a 3 carbon atom compound. So when this lactic acid is formed, we feel cramps or some pain in our muscles. Why this is there? When some strenuous exercise is done, as athletes, they are running very fast, then what happens? At that time, the body lacks oxygen. Due to less oxygen, this lactic acid is formed in the muscles and they feel tired or they feel some cramps or some pain in their body organs. What happens next? When enough oxygen is there for the body gets enough oxygen, then what happened? This lactic acid, it goes to the liver by blood vessels, and there in liver this lactic acid again forms glucose, or it is completely oxidized in carbon dioxide and water. So this is how these are two anaerobic respiration, one in yeast and second in muscle cell. This is about the cellular respiration. This is also cellular respiration because glycolysis, it is going on in cytoplasm of the cell. Though a small energy is formed, but in aerobic much energy is formed. Now we come to respiratory system in human being. So the oxygen which is present in atmosphere, all the living organism, they take this oxygen in different ways. They have certain systems to take this oxygen, and then this oxygen goes to the cells for cellular respiration. So this is in human being. We will study in human being. All of you know we take oxygen from our nostrils. This is nasal cavity, from the nose or nostrils, and some we can also take by mouth also. So from the atmosphere, oxygen is taken by nose, and the oxygen or the air comes in nasal cavity. Now from nasal cavity it goes to pharynx. First we have pharynx and then larynx. All of you know larynx is voice box. So through pharynx and larynx the air directly comes to trachea. It is a tube behind esophagus and it goes directly to the lungs. So this trachea, it is also known as windpipe because air travels through this passage up to the lungs. So this is trachea. It divides into two. These two branches of this trachea, they are known as bronchus. One bronchus is singular, plural is two bronchi. One bronchus enter each of the lungs. This is structure. This is lung. This is also lung. Two lungs, and these two bronchi, they reaches lungs. When they reach lungs, they divide again and again like the branches of a tree, and many smaller bronchioles, they are formed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So many bronchioles are formed inside the lung. So, and these bronchioles, they ultimately open into a balloon shaped structure which is known as alveoli. This is alveoli. This is the smallest bronchiole, and these alveoli together, they look like bunch of grapes. This is a large portion of bronchioles and alveoli. This red color portion is square, it is enlarged like this. So here we can see these black one, they are bronchioles, and each bronchiole, they open into balloon like inflated structure which is known as alveoli. These all are alveoli. These alveoli are very thin. The cell membrane is very thin. It is single celled thick, and on the top of this alveoli, this red is blood. These red and green are blood vessels. So arteries and veins, they cover the surface of these alveoli. So many alveoli and so many branching is done to increase the surface area for transfer of gases. In alveoli, carbon dioxide and oxygen, they transfer and the blood become clean. So how this transfer takes place, I will just tell you. Before this, these rings, these are known as cartilaginous rings. These cartilaginous rings are present so that this passage may not collapse. It is a thin tube and these cartilaginous rings, they cover this tube and bronchioles also so that they may not collapse. This is the rib cage. On the two lungs, rib cage is present and below diaphragm is present. So, and this is the thoracic cavity or the chest cavity. In between heart is present. These are two lungs, and lungs, they are also covered by a membrane that is known as pulmonary pleura, and this is a structure of respiratory system in human being. Now, how the process takes place? When we take in the air or the oxygen, when some person takes in, then what happened? This diaphragm, it flattens like this. It is in a flattened position, otherwise it may be like this. So, when oxygen is taken, it becomes flattened, and these ribs, rib cage, it lifts. The rib cage which is present around both the lungs, it lifts. When the rib cage lifts and the diaphragm flattens, what happened? The chest cavity, it enlarges. When it enlarges, the air is sucked in. It comes in and it filled all these balloon-like structure, the alveoli. So pure air or the oxygen, it filled alveoli. Now what happens on these alveoli? As you can see, this blue color vessels. So they are having impure blood or they are having carbon dioxide dissolved in these in the blood, which they take from the cells, and this carbon dioxide, it is exchanged with oxygen. The oxygen which is filled in the alveoli, it goes to the blood, and carbon dioxide which is in the vessels, it goes to the alveoli. From alveoli, this carbon dioxide which is accumulated, then what happens? We breathe out or exhales. What happened at the time of exhalation? This diaphragm, it rises up, rib cage, it presses the lungs, and so that all the carbon dioxide which is accumulated in these, it comes out through the nostrils. Again, we take in and take out both the gases like this, and exchange of gases takes place at the level of alveoli. What happens? Some residual oxygen and carbon dioxide is still there in the alveoli, so that proper exchange of gases can takes place. So it is single celled thick. This alveoli, it is single celled thick. So what happened? When the cell membrane is the only single layer of cells is present, then by diffusion oxygen goes in, as inside there is less concentration of oxygen during inhalation, and carbon dioxide, it goes out into the blood. From here, the oxygen is taken to each and every cell of the body for cellular respiration or for oxidation of sugar molecule. Why? How this blood carry this oxygen? Normally, this oxygen may go to the cells by diffusion also, but in larger animals or big sized animal, diffusion is not competent to send oxygen to each and every cell of the body. So it is taken up by the blood, and blood has a special pigment known as hemoglobin. Hemoglobin. This is the respiratory pigment in human beings. So this hemoglobin is present in the blood. It has high affinity for oxygen, so it takes up oxygen. What is hemoglobin? Hemoglobin is a peptide, is a protein, and it has around 4 peptide chains. 2 are alpha chains and 2 are beta chains, and each chain has one heme molecule attached to it. So this is the structure of hemoglobin. It is a respiratory pigment. It is formed of amino acids. 4 polypeptide chains are there and 1 iron. Iron is also known as heme. That's why it is known as hemoglobin, and it has high affinity for oxygen. So oxygen from these alveoli, it is taken up by the hemoglobin of the blood. Hemoglobin is present in red blood cells of blood. RBCs, they have hemoglobin, and this hemoglobin or RBC, then they circulate in whole of the body and oxygen is transferred to each and every cell of the body. And this oxygen is used for oxidation of glucose. This is how this process takes place. And the carbon dioxide which is given off by the blood, it is exhaled by the body. So this is the complete process of respiration or breathing in human being, and these are 2 types of respiration. This is all for respiration. 2 videos are there for respiration. Next we will start with transportation in plants as well as in animals. So this is all for today. Thank you.